Hey guys, and welcome back to Live, Love, Life, and Travel. This is your girl, Mika, and I specialize in traveling on a budget, traveling as a solo person, solo female, a young person of color, and being a long-term traveler as a digital nomad. And today we are going to continue with our Vietnam series. I went to Vietnam a couple of years ago, but I never actually sat down and really talked about it. And I like to always sort of, if I visit a place, sit down, talk to you guys about it. So when the world opens back up and you can travel again, you can plan ahead and be a little bit more aware and educated what is the best place for you, especially if you're looking to do long-term traveling as a digital nomad. So today we're going to talk about culture shocks that I've experienced when I was in Vietnam, Hanoi, Vietnam, and that might come to a shock for my long-term OG subscribers because I've been traveling for almost 7 years. Almost 7 years. So I have ample knowledge up here in this noggin of mine. But still, I can still be culture shocked now and again. So we're gonna go down to the number. I don't know how many they're gonna be, but once we get down to the number of culture shocks I've experienced, I'll put it in a thumbnail. This is in no particular order. All right, one of the culture shocks I experienced in Hanoi, Vietnam was the traffic. Now, it's not as congested as a Bangkok, and Southeast Asian or South Asian traffic tends to be kind of like a Frogger game where you're kind of like, can you go now? Can you go now? Hanoi, Vietnam was like that, like on 10. And I feel like in Thailand or any other place that I went to, you can kind of gauge where you can walk. Traffic tends to stop, let you cross. But I felt like in Vietnam, you just had to walk. Like you just had to go. Matter of fact, the more timid that you became, the more dangerous it became for everyone else. You kind of had to walk fast enough but slow enough so the traffic coming towards you can gauge where you're going so they can just drive around you. Like traffic didn't really stop unless there was a traffic light or a red light or a stop sign. It just went around you. So like you kind of just had to like that and just go, because if you was trying to wait for the traffic to ever slow down, kind of see you coming, and the traffic sort of slows down, because in Thailand or in Chiang Mai, like it feels the same, but once you kind of start going, the traffic tends to slow down and let you cross. No, in Vietnam, if you try to wait for the traffic to do that, you'll be waiting forever. Hanoi, Vietnam anyway, specifically Old Quarter. So you had to just trust that the locals knew what they were doing. You had to put the trust into their hands that they were not going to hit you with their motorbike. And it's mostly motorbikes. You rarely see cars except in a really main road area, but like in a smaller streets it's like motorbike. Insane. And it's actually it's intimidating. I've always slightly been intimidated by crossing these traffic lanes in Southeast Asia, South Asia. I've always been like, one day I'm gonna get hit, but this was like on another level. But you had to just like kind of learn the traffic isn't gonna hit me, just walk. Still be aware, but just walk. And I actually have a cool story time video coming up where my worst fear actually came true and I literally got hit by a motorbike in Vietnam. And I will explain that in another video. So the other culture shock that I experienced in Vietnam was the dessert. Like, Vietnam had strange, I wouldn't say strange, but peculiar or desserts that I'm not used to. That being a dessert, like you would read the menu and you'd be like, how is that dessert? How is that going to taste good? Stuff like black rice pudding or green pea pudding, like hot green pea pudding, like those two different things I've had, and honestly is absolutely delicious. And dessert was kind of like pretty big in Vietnam. There are lots of different spots that was just dedicated to desserts, sweet desserts, savory desserts, and you might find yourself looking at the menu and being like, I don't understand how any of this is going to taste good. Like you just like, how did anyone even come up with this idea? Like how does someone fall upon the idea of black rice pudding being something that's going to be tasty as a dessert? But it is so good. Vietnam does their desserts really well, and it doesn't feel like it's packed with white sugar and preservatives, so you don't feel super unhealthy when you're eating the desserts there. Another thing that was really big in Vietnam is yogurt. Yogurt seemed like it was the thing to do in Hanoi. Like, I don't know if it was just a trend of the moment or if that was the culture of Hanoi, Vietnam, but it was especially seemed popular amongst the younger generation, hipsters, millennials, Gen Zers, but amongst everybody, there were yogurt stands everywhere. And each yogurt stand was a little bit different. Some was a little bit more posh and fancy. Some was a little bit more like just hole-in-the-wall mom and pop place. But basically, it's just yogurt. Most of the yogurt places were just plain yogurt. Some places had flavored yogurt like strawberry or chocolate. But most places was just like plain yogurt. Not frozen yogurt, just plain yogurt. And you would go inside and there will be a different selection of items you can put in your yogurt, from fruits to these sort of jelly things to Fruit Loops to chocolate chips, like whatever. Like, again, some yogurt places had more of a variety of things to choose from, and some places only had a handful, but it's so good. And again, it's just yogurt, so you don't feel like shit afterwards. It's delicious, and you will walk down the streets of Hanoi and it will be like a whole side street of just yogurt places and young people sitting outside in their little tables and their little chairs just eating yogurt. And also underneath those people would be just like a whole trail of sunflower seeds or empty sunflower seeds, because it seemed like that was the thing to do, is order some yogurt and snack on sunflower seeds. Instead of like the city being littered with like cigarette butts on the ground, it was like littered with sunflower seeds. But I highly recommend, if you go to Hanoi, Vietnam, you not only not be afraid to try all the desserts, even if they sound ridiculous, just try it, and also get your hands on some yogurt and try all the different yogurt shops. It's so good. And speaking of deliciousness, the other culture shock you might experience is the egg coffee. The egg coffee sounds ridiculous, just like some of the desserts might make you do a side eye, but the egg coffee is so good. And what I was told and what I can remember, the egg coffee was originated during the war when they ran out of dairy products, and so they had to have a replacement, and they used the egg white as dairy instead of dairy, and so they don't use the egg yolk, from what I remember and from what I was told and believe, that they just use the egg white and they whip it up so it looks like just a cream, and then they make a coffee out of it. I actually went to the original cafe that the woman who created the egg coffee founded. Like, I went to her original cafe, and it's right in Old Quarter, right next to the lake. But and I'll talk about this as my next culture shock. The way you get there is so like peculiar that you might think someone's leading you into some sort of like human trafficking trap or something like that. It's like you literally go into a back store, like a backpack store, and you go into the backpack store, and like it's almost like you're going behind or behind the backpack store, but you're just going down a dark alleyway or a dark hallway, and then you go up these windy dark stairs, and then it opens up into this huge room that looks like it's back from the 1920s or something like that. There's all these little squatter chairs and little tables. It's so quaint and so cute and so adorable. And the menu is just like a chalkboard menu. It's just so nice, and it's nice by the fact that they didn't even hack the prices up to tourist prices. The prices are still local prices. So cheap, so good. And actually the coffee, I would say, is more like a dessert coffee. It's actually really sweet, but it's really strong. Like, Vietnamese coffee is strong, period. But this is really strong. And of course they have a bunch of other coffees you can get, like regular Vietnamese coffee and coconut coffee. It also was pretty popular when I was there. But you have to try the egg coffee 100%. So, like I just hit on a second ago, the other culture shock is the way you get to places. I feel like in Hanoi, Vietnam, and Old Quarter, at least in the center area, some of the buildings seem so compressed together, almost like sardines, that they try to take up as much space as they possibly can, just use every crevice of that area. And so you'll be going to like sometimes nice restaurants, but you're going down these windy alleyways. It's kind of like you're passing people's residence. Like, it feels like you're going somewhere you shouldn't be going. Like, if a random stranger was like, hey, I'll show you to the egg coffee place, you will probably think he was tricking you and he's trying to kidnap you. Because again, you're going down these dark hallways, up windy stairs. It just seems peculiar. But a lot of the old quarter area in Hanoi is like that. When me and my friend was actually looking for a vegan banh mi place, like, we kept missing it because where it was located, it was like behind this building. You had to go to this tiny alleyway, and on the other side, either side of the alleyway seems like it's people's residence. So you're just like, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. But like the banh mi place is just tucked away in a little corner somewhere, and that's just normal. It makes exploring Hanoi old quarter so much more fun too, because it's kind of like a little maze, and like what's gonna happen, what am I gonna see at the end of the tunnel or something like that. Like, I love it. The other culture shock that I experienced is the sort of particularness that seems like a lot of Vietnamese people, especially the ones who are running shops and the ones who are doing the conversions for money, were very particular about their dollars. If you were converting American dollar or euro or baht or something like that, if the bill was crumbled, old, weathered, ripped, discolored, stained in any way, a lot of places where we refused to take your money, and then when you went to conversion places, they would actually drop the conversion just because it was like something slightly wrong with your dollar. It's almost like people wanted perfect dollar bills, and trying to get rid of coins too was almost like impossible. So just be aware of that. Like I am someone who just takes my money and like shoves it in my bag. Like, in Vietnam, I was like carefully placing my dollars in like little books so it stays flat, because it just seemed like if it was anything wrong with the dollar, they didn't want it. And I'll have another story time coming out talking about the time I got super scammed at one of these conversion places, and how bashfully he didn't even care that I caught him in the scam. But like, I'll do that in another video. The other culture shock you might experience in old quarter Hanoi, Vietnam is just the chaos and just the energy and how much is going on. When me and my friend first arrived in Hanoi off the bus, I believe it was like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and it was almost like too much like stimulation. And I know I've said in other videos that it feels more like a smaller city, and I would explain that in another video, because it's like, how can something be so busy but feels like a smaller city? But it can be overwhelming. And my friend that I was with, that I arrived at Vietnam, she actually felt quite overwhelmed when we first arrived, and she just wanted to get off the streets and get into the hotel, because it's just like so much stimulation, from the lights to the traffic to so many people constantly on the streets to the vendors and the smells and the foods and the cafes. It's like so much to look at that it can be a little bit of a shock and a little bit overwhelming, like kind of like that a little bit. But it's also what you probably will start to love about old quarter in Hanoi and Vietnam. It's just so much always going on, and so much always to look at, so much activity, so much stimulation. I fell in love with that culture of old quarter and Hanoi, Vietnam, but it might be an initial shock to other people. The other thing that might shock you going to Hanoi, Vietnam is the amount of times you're going to be stopped and asked to speak English to school children, especially in old quarter, especially in the center where the lake is. Like, if you walk around the lake, you can be stopped 5-7 times by a group of kids led by an adult asking if you can speak English or practice English with the school kids. And honestly, at first, it's kind of cute, and maybe you feel like you're doing your, like, I don't know, your service of the day if you want to help out. But it can get really annoying when you just want to walk and you just want some peace and quiet and you just want to have some alone time, to constantly have all these group of kids with their little kid eyes, like, you know, speak English with us, and they're so excited. You don't want to say no, but you're like, oh, like, I'm tired, because it can go on for a little bit. Like, it can last 5 minutes, it can last 15 minutes, it can last half an hour, depending on how many kids it is and how much practice they want to do. But it can be a lot, and I don't think I've ever really experienced that anywhere else. Like in Thailand, sometimes you'll have kids stop and practice their English with you alone, but they're not coming to you saying, I'm practicing my English. They'll just speak to you, but you can tell that they're just practicing the English words that they know, kind of thing. But in Hanoi, it's like whole groups of kids, and it's just like, okay, like, I want to be nice, but this is the 7th time within 2 hours I've been asked to do this. So that can be a little shocker. And like, honestly, don't feel bad just to say no. Sometimes they make you feel a little guilty because they're like, oh, but why? Like, you know what I mean? But like, don't feel bad if you're tired, you don't want to. It's the 3rd group, you don't want to anymore. Don't feel bad, just say no. But it's nice to do it every once in a while. And last but not least, and it's definitely, once again, is no particular order, it's the Vietnamese people themselves. I feel like, unlike some other places in South and Southeast Asia, where I feel like the locals kind of fake smile at you, not in a bad way, but just trying to be hospitable, or roll out the red carpet for you just because you're a foreigner, just because you're a Westerner, which I sometimes feel like it's hard to make real connections with the local when they kind of see you like that, put you on some sort of pedestal that you don't deserve to be on. With Vietnamese people, I feel like they could not care less that you're a Westerner. They can care less that you're an American. They can care less that you're a foreigner. They speak to you how they speak to everyone else, and some foreigners can find maybe sometimes it comes off as rude. I don't see it like that. I see it like cutting through the bullshit. Let's say you go to a restaurant and the restaurant is busy. Instead of being like, hi, how are you? How are you guys doing? How are you guys enjoying Vietnam? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, what do you want? Let's order. We gotta go. Like, time is money. It's kind of like that. But I don't see it as being rude. I just see it as like they have a busy business running, and this is just how they conduct their business. It's not that they're treating you any different or any less. It's just like, come on, order kind of mentality. But it's not, to me, it's not rude. Like, Vietnamese people are very, very nice and real. And I like the fact that they don't care that you're a Westerner. I like the fact that they don't care that you're an American. I like the fact that they don't care you're a foreigner or you're a tourist. They're not going to kiss your ass, and I like that. Because I feel like you can kind of cut through that veil of I'm a tourist, you're a local, and you can have real conversations when they just see you as an equal. And I really do enjoy that about Vietnam. You know what I mean? Like, just talking to people plainly. I enjoy that. But for other travelers who was used to getting our ass kissed and used to sort of people bending over backwards just because you're a foreigner and just because you're a Westerner, they might feel a little like, you know, like, oh, okay. Or people who are used to Western hospitality may also feel that way. But once again, I don't mind it whatsoever because it makes me feel like you're being more real with me. Anyway, guys, that is my culture shocks of Hanoi, Vietnam, specifically in the Old Quarter area. I know that that is not all of Hanoi, even though Old Quarter does stretch out quite a bit. It takes up a lot of acreage, I guess, and I know is way more to Vietnam than just Hanoi, and way more to Hanoi than just Old Quarter, but that's where the majority of the times I spent. And I know most foreigners, expats who've never been to Vietnam either start off their travels in Hanoi or stay in Hanoi, you know what I mean? So it's still relevant. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think. If you've ever been to Vietnam, let me know what your culture shock was in the comment section below. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to answer. Also, like, comment, and subscribe because there's a lot more videos coming out. Not only are all my travel vlog videos coming from the last few years of me traveling, but a lot of these sit-down talk videos that I enjoy doing because I don't really like walking around and vlogging because I feel like I can't get everything out I want to say. But when I sit down and talk, I can get my words together and my thoughts together, and I can speak them clearly to you guys. So there'll be a lot more informational videos coming out as well, of course, when the world opens up, so you'll be prepared to travel. Because I think that the last couple years have taught us that you never know what's going to happen, and I think people need to start living their lives now and stop waiting for the future. Anyway, guys, again, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell, hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal me link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. And you guys have an amazing, amazing day. Bye!